YouTube fam, we did it. We made it to Paragon 800. It was a grind. We got here. What I'm going to share with you guys today is what it took to get here, what I would have done differently, tips to get into Inferno difficulty and what you should be looking for, and then my thoughts on the patch now that I've had an opportunity to do, I believe, all the content now at this point. All right, let's get into it, y'all. So as you can see, we are Paragon 800. And there's a lot of benefits and things that have come along with this. And I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about what I had to do to get to this point, because it definitely wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be. So we started out at Paragon 761 when the grind started. And I was under the impression that we would have more bonus XP being under server Paragon. I really have never been that far under server Paragon, so I kept seeing the number 1500 bonus experience pop up across some channels and on Reddit. And I thought you had to be really, really behind to get that, but I thought maybe there was something that was possibly different when it came to this patch. And it actually wasn't. The 1500% is when you're way below. I want to say it might be 60 or 70 levels below server Paragon. And we were 39 levels below Paragon. So we had 325% bonus XP when we started. And that dwindled away quickly as we started gaining levels. We did gain our initial levels very fast. I would say in total, it took me about 14 hours to get there. And I did everything you can think to do in the game to be able to get to the next level here of 800. Man, we saved up some battle pass points and we ended up maxing out our weekly battle pass points. We do that regardless every week, but I did it quicker than I thought. And when we take a look at our battle pass, we have a 100% bonus battle pass XP right now. So this actually did net us some pretty good additional bonus XP, but we maxed it out fast. And when that happened, the grind definitely kicked in because things slowed down, I would say. I also gained XP from the accursed towers here, and I waited until it was about almost halfway full before I popped them. So it was about a full day, a little bit longer, before I actually took this bonus XP. I saved up my assembly rewards as well, just for 2 days. I didn't claim it on Wednesday, and then I got the additional one on Thursday, and I claimed those both together at the same time. I didn't do my contracts the day before, so I had 16 contracts to do. We did a ton of bestiary turn-ins, lots of elder rifts, dungeon spams, and I will tell you guys, the best thing that I found to do, and I was not wanting to do this because I've done it so much in the game already that I'm kind of tired of it, but circle farming was by far the best way to gain the XP. There really wasn't anything as close outside of the battle pass points, and I really didn't have enough left. I think I had around 1,000 or 1,100 battle pass points left that I could actually claim on my character. So that was really what did it, was the circle farming. What I would have done differently in this scenario is I wouldn't have popped my battle pass so early. I would have saved up actually probably more tower XP, and I thought I could do this maybe in a day and a half. So I would have maybe saved up another assembly and maybe done some more fishing beforehand. Fishing was one of the other methods, turning in. I had a couple of mythic fish and lots of rares, some legendaries, but everything that I did initially, when I first popped my battle pass, I got like 4 or 5 levels right off the bat. When I did my assembly, I got a couple levels right off the bat. When I did my tower XP, I got another couple levels right off the bat. And I hit 785 very, very quickly. But that's when things really started to slow down. It was shortly after that that I ended up maxing my battle pass later that night. And then I woke up in the morning and I was at 787 or 788. And then it was time to get to the grind again. And at the end of that day, I ended up at 796. And then it was 796 to 800 that I did today. And that took me from about 8 a.m. to like 12:30 p.m. Or it was a little bit later than that. I started about 9:30 a.m. and took me until about 12:30 p.m. to get that. So yeah, I would have started out with circle farming actually, and then when the levels got a little bit harder to grind, getting that extra push forward with all the different things that I could turn in, I would have waited for all of that first and done the circle farming. There really isn't any way around it. That's what you need to do, is do the circle farming. So what can you do if you haven't hit 800 yet? I know there were quite a few people that got there before me, but I seem to be a little bit ahead of the curve, I would say. I still have a ton of clanmates and warband members that haven't hit 800 yet. So there's still plenty of opportunity to get there. Seems like there's plenty of time for people. And I would say, again, I'm going to reiterate this point: circle farm, circle farm, circle farm. That is going to be your best way. And if you haven't maxed out your battle pass points yet, go ahead and max out your battle pass points. Is going to be the best way to do that. Now, a couple of tips and things that I saw along the way that I want to make sure I point out to you guys. The big key here is going to be level 799. So it actually stops you once you hit 799, but you can't progress to the next difficulty until you have a full XP bar. And then it'll give you a pop-up that you can proceed to Inferno difficulty, and you're able to change it at that point. I might have actually stopped right at 799 thinking I was good to go, but you actually have to have a full XP bar. So make sure you keep that in mind as you're grinding, that you still need to get to the end of 799 before it'll let you go to the next point. My next tip is doing the raid boss as soon as possible. What I think a lot of people might be thinking is, oh, I'm gonna hit the level first and then I'll do the raid boss. But let's say you hit it and it's early in the morning. You might hit it maybe 1 a.m., 2 a.m. You've been grinding, you stayed up late to hit it. Well, it's probably going to be harder to get a raid party at that point. And there's, at least on my server, there's plenty of people that are willing to carry you through. Check out your clan, check out your warband. But if you need a carry, there should be plenty of people that are willing to do that right now. I'm seeing nothing but the last raid boss here pop up for raids, and people are trying to get that knocked out. So that way you don't have to wait or get a group or anything like that. You're ready to go as soon as you hit 799. After that, I want to actually show you guys, there was a change, and I mentioned this in my last video, but just in case you didn't catch this, the last Heliquary boss here for H8 was 16,666 combat rating, and it's actually dropped to 15,860. I was able to meet this requirement the first day on Thursday during the patch. I actually didn't play on Thursday until later in the day, and it only took me a few upgrades to get to this 15.8 CR requirement. And that's actually a really good segue into my next point. The gear that's dropping now has actually changed a bit. And I know people have discussed this and you've seen it already, but just so you're aware, the max combat rating that you can get on an H8 piece of gear right now is 1,133. At least I haven't seen any gear drop higher than this. I was able to farm this up on all of my gear pieces here. I had all my 1,133s yesterday, and then it was just a matter of getting the levels necessary at that point. And then the last piece, I know we discussed this too as well, but just in case, if you're still not aware, as you're getting this new gear, make sure you save an extra main hand and an extra offhand for when you do make it to Inferno 1. And if possible, try to make sure those have the highest combat rating that they can, 1133 as well. When you hit Inferno 1, the dungeon requirement, I believe it's 8,500 or 8,600 CR, one of those. And I had it immediately by having these stats ready to go. One last thing too, I want to make sure I don't forget this, is save your wisps. I was able to craft a couple of pieces of Inferno 1 gear that actually bumped up my combat rating on my hand and my rings by quite a bit. And now I'm way above the requirements. So when we take a look now at my CR, it's 19,458. I'm comfortable in Inferno 1. There's no content I can't do at the moment, and it's all been working out pretty good. It was a pretty smooth transition. It seemed like it was a ways away, but really as soon as I hit the requirements, I'm still 800. I haven't even gone up a level yet, and I've been able to do everything. All right, so my thoughts on the patch as a whole. We have huge W's and we have huge L's across the board. The first thing to me that sticks out is I feel like for the major patch and for this to be so hyped up and hey, Thursday is the day, I feel like the implementation of the new difficulties was not done properly. On one hand, I do like the fact that it rewards grinders and grinding, as we don't typically see that in Diablo Immortal. You're usually punished for grinding. You get reduced XP all the time. It's just really makes it hard to want to progress further than just being at server Paragon level when you start getting hit with those XP reductions. But getting a new patch with all of this new content and it being time gated again, something else is time gated and you really have to grind to get to this next point. I feel like everyone's been waiting, like, where's the major anniversary patch? Because we got a small one. And then we get this new patch, and really the majority of the content is locked behind Inferno 1, which is another point I wanted to make too as well. You have an option of not going to Inferno 1, but in a sense, it's almost, why would you do it? Because that's where all the new content is. I can definitely understand it. You don't want to have to compete with Wales and anybody else that's going into Inferno 1, and it gives you a chance to kind of be in H8 and getting your perfect rolls on your gear. But we've already been in H8 for so long at this point that, you know, what else really was there to do? I definitely had my gear where I wanted it. There were some extra things that I could do, but there wasn't any more chase or any more thrill to H8. So we definitely needed something else to spice it up. And I'm glad that they have it. They brought some good things and some good concepts, some good content, but having that time gate to it definitely made things frustrating, I would say, not being able to access that new content right away. But again, it's not that crazy of a grind. It is a grind, but it's doable. If you don't want to grind super hard, you should be able to get to Inferno 1, I would say, within 4 to 7 days, depending on how much time you're putting in, if you still haven't gotten there already. The next thing I want to say is Inferno difficulty is not difficult at all. I figured, I mean, they're calling it Inferno. We got a new main hand, new offhand. We got new skills. We got new stances. All these different ways to increase our damage or our defense, and you don't even really need it. Like, it's not, it's Hell 9. Like, it's not Inferno. There's nothing different about it. Monsters don't have crazy HP compared to H8. You're not getting one-shotted by a bunch of stuff. I mean, it really isn't difficult. Maybe by the time you hit Inferno 3, I don't know what the game plan is here, but it really wasn't what I was expecting with them calling it Inferno. Like I really thought it was going to be a lot harder than what it was, and it's not. So that one's kind of a letdown, I would say. What I would take a look at here is I did notice, however, the one thing when it comes to your Inferno 1 is going to be your secondary stats. So I increased my stats quite a bit, and especially my armor pen and my armor. Potency and resistance went down a bit, but it just happens to be the gear that's dropping at the moment. But I went up quite a bit, and I'm actually still 200 less for armor pen. I'm 305 less on armor, 275 less on potency, 237 less on resistance. So your damage output and your defense probably isn't as strong as it could be until these stats start to creep up. Now, I admittedly haven't gotten any legendary drops yet from Inferno 1. So once I start to get those, we'll see what happens here. I have a feeling those should go up, whether it comes in line with the requirements for the difficulty and I can get above and beyond that, we'll see. But every hell difficulty that I've gone to thus far, I've already started off either right where I needed to be or like 50 to 100 points higher. And maxing out my gear to where it was beforehand, it kind of feels like, wait a minute, am I even going to meet this threshold here? It seems like it's kind of a ways away. So we'll have to see what our rolls are on our gear and check that out as we keep going. Maybe it does require some more normal gem upgrades, but your secondary stats are definitely going to be lacking, and I think unless you're in the 2K range or close to it in a lot of your stats. I do love the additional gear slots and the additional legendary gems that you can slot in. And this is just probably a personally selfish reason. I know some people are going to say, well, PvP, whales are going to get stronger. I actually like it, but for selfish reasons, I wanted to get to 3K in the game, and that was kind of my cutoff point. Now I'm just shy of 3K. My Mother's Lament, I'm waiting on some more copies here. I have it at rank 8, but once I get it up to rank 10, that is going to put me at 2977. And then what I'll be able to do is on my Pain clasp here, my Blessed Pebble, I can get 3 more ranks and get this one to rank 10. And that'll give me 3 points, and then I'm just 20 away. And then my Mother's Lament, I'll be able to do 20 gem resonance into this, and that'll get me right at 3K on the nose. If for some reason it's quicker, if it happens, I have 4 copies of Seeping Bile. Like I said, with the copies, it gets ridiculous, but I'm almost to 40 Telluric Pearls, so that'll give me my 5th copy. And then if I acquire 6 some kind of way, it may be quicker to go about it, trying to upgrade my Seeping Biles. But that'll get me to my next set of wings here. And the other thing that I really like are stances are awesome. Just to give some examples here of how the stances work. So you have your offensive and your defensive stances. And when you swap between them, you actually get a boost for a little bit of time. On the defensive side, for me, it's a dash. And then my movement speed is increased by 10% while my defensive stance is active. And then on offense, when I switch, it is critical hit, extra critical hit chance on my primary attack, which I'm constantly doing as a demon hunter. And with Mother's Lament, it's just another way to get that extra critical hit damage. The other piece I like with these extra weapons is going to be I've now been able to work multi-shot back into my build.
You must hunger for death.
And I've got my Impaled beefed up too as well. And I'll have to play around and see maybe what is the best DPS output. But there's definitely a lot of different things you can play with at this point in terms of build variety, build diversity. It almost feels like you do need a 5th skill. Like I have no problem admitting that. But with the 4 skills that you have, you really can boost them up. But yeah, damage has gone just nutty. It was already pretty nutty for me. I just had a really good build synergy with the way I had things.
Suffer. You deserve nothing less.
I was a 1 million HP boss, dead in seconds, and I didn't even have Vengeance and Knockback Shot ready. I mean, the power surge that has happened is definitely something I've been waiting on, which is the biggest W, I think, one of the biggest W's of this patch. Is it seems like we haven't had a good power spike in the game in terms of we've been playing for so long, and again, if you're not really spending, like your character isn't progressing, it feels like. Yeah, you're getting more combat rating, you're getting a couple more stats here and there, but really feeling that power. So having the extra slots to put more gems in, I know it'll take some time for people to get those up, but having that, having the additional essences, getting the additional stats, getting the additional stances, those are all W's to me, and big ones at that. I think the next biggest W here, and this could be actually even larger, is going to be the Conqueror PvP event. Balanced PvP is a lot of fun. It really is. And you can tell the skill gaps and the skill levels now. And I'm all for it. I wish this wasn't a limited time event. This needs to be active all the time. Maybe they're trying to test it out and seeing what they need to tweak or something, or they're going to bring it back a lot. But hopefully this is something that's around all the time, because this was very much needed in the game. I know a lot of people appreciate it. I haven't even wanted to go into regular Battlegrounds now because I've been wanting to play this mode. Outside of the PvP, you have a ton of events going on, which could the rewards be better? They always could be better, but there's enough of them going on now to where it's a pretty decent chunk of things that you're getting throughout the days as the days pass by. I think this needs to happen all the time, where these events need to be going on constantly. We need to have this many events a lot of the time and be able to get extra materials, extra legendaries, extra pearls, extra crests. Anything that you can do to get us more of that in the game is a great thing for the game. Now, I'll have another video coming out soon on this. I need to edit it, but the story mode, going through that, the new quest line, was amazing. It's actually my favorite zone, at least right now. Not necessarily for farming, but just the visuals. They did a really great job on how varied this zone is. In all the other zones that you go to, everything looks the same throughout the entire zone. Like, they're very specific. Like Frozen Tundra, of course, it looks like you're in the Ice Age, like frozen stuff everywhere. You go over to Balfin and it looks kind of jungly. You go into Realm of Damnation and you're in hell, basically. But when we take a look at this, I mean, we've got some spots that look like you're going into the heaven spots of Diablo 3.
Darkness.
I can't think of exactly what it's called, with the crystal gates or whatever it is, but every single area of the zone looks different from anything else in the game, and there's multiple areas that change it up. And as always, I always think they do a really good job with the main quest line. Again, it's a shame that it's not replayable, so it's a one and done unless you're going to make another character and go through it again. But it really is a good experience. If you haven't gone through the main quest line because you're grinding, take some time out to go and do that. It's a lot of fun. All right, with that, guys, I definitely have some more things coming on this update, but just wanted to show you the road to Paragon 800 here, give you some thoughts on the patch now that I've played through a lot of it. Let me know what you guys think. Have you hit Paragon 800 yet? Are you getting discouraged because of the grind? What are your thoughts on it? Like, comment, and if I did a good job here for you today, throw me a subscribe. It would be greatly appreciated.